Hey, Kyle here. We are moving into the next step for our How to Study the Bible series. In this fourth video, we will look at M, which means meaning. Yes, I use meaning. M stands for meaning. So context, observation, meaning, and application. We're at that third letter. And so within this letter, we have to cross a metaphorical bridge from the first century to present day. To help us do that, we must use our observations to sum up the main principle of the passage in a single sentence. This is critical. And so let me frame it up this way. Your one sentence could basically fill in the blank of this larger sentence. So if I was to say the author is trying to say this is then where you would insert the sentence here, to his original audience. So within, the author is trying to say this to his original audience. That will really help you sum up your single sentence. It may even be helpful to speak in general terms or use words like they or they should or they ought, or the author wants this audience to get this. But don't worry about being too specific yet. We will get to that, as specifically the specifics, as we move into application. Next, we want to make sure that our summary sentence is consistent with the story and themes of the Bible. So this is where we pull in the C, context, into meaning. So we've used our observations. Now we're going to use the C, or the context. So thinking about themes or thinking about what type of genre is it will help us give some guardrails or some parameters to know whether or not our single summary sentence is actually good and consistent with the wider story of Scripture. And if you're new to this question may seem kind of daunting. Go ahead and skip it. And the more you read the Bible, you'll be able to come back and identify sometimes your summary statements may fall outside the bounds of Scripture. And so let me give you just a real practical example. If you're reading about John the Baptist in the New Testament, you see that he's the voice of the one crying in the wilderness, and he's wearing camel's hair and locusts. And so you may be thinking, oh, well, we're supposed to be people who wear camel's hair and eat locusts. Well, that's not necessarily seen throughout Scripture as a major theme for how humanity should act. They're just simply describing John the Baptist's role. So figuring out that story or the themes of Scripture, that's where that question helps provide some guardrails so we don't get too crazy of answers. But the next question is probably the most important step. Because we live on the other side of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, we must ask, how does Jesus shape our sentence? This is especially helpful when working with the Old Testament. And so it may mean that we have to tweak our sentence slightly as we seek to determine whether Jesus changes that summary sentence. And this begins the move across the bridge. And lastly, the question to go take us fully across the bridge is, what does it mean for me or us? It's taking that general summary sentence and saying, what does it actually mean for me or us if it's a communal passage? So we substitute those theys or you or they were supposed to or you were supposed to I or me and us. And so we go from a principle that's distant to a principle that's personal. And at this point, we are prepared to go to our last and final letter in the acronym. So we hope this video equips you to read the Bible so that you become a better follower of Jesus in your everyday life. Make sure you hit subscribe to our Generations Church channel so that you can stay equipped as we expand God's family because of Jesus for generations to come.